Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Fellas, have a happy Thanksgiving, guys.
There's veteran official Bennett Salvatore with the important message before tonight's game. Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving. The starting lineup. The Suns and the Rockets meet for the first time this year. Some changes in the Suns lineup. Boris Diaw getting the start at center in place of Kurt Thomas. He'll come off the bench. And James Jones starting at the 2 guard. Leandro Barbosa out with the ankle injury. And for the Rockets, no Tracy McGrady, no Ray Alston. So Ryan Bowen gets the start at the forward. And the rookie Luther Head at the 2 guard. David Wesley, who really is a 2 guard, starting at the point guard. Such the adjustments for Jeff Van Gundy and the Houston Rockets in the month of November, Bill.
This is going to be fantastic. Mike D'Antoni, the reigning coach of the year, comes in, his team decimated by injuries, as is Jeff Van Gundy, and he says, heck, we're just going with the 5 littlest guys we have on our team, and we are going to race up and down this court all night long and see if the oldest team in the NBA, one of the tallest teams because of Yao Ming, can even hope to keep up. This is special.
An interesting contrast of styles with these two teams right now. The Rockets could care less what anyone's style is. They want to win. They've lost 4 in a row, and a team that has played well up until the 4th quarter. It's been the problem. So they've gotten off to some pretty solid starts, but they need to maintain it. And as you see, the officiating crew for tonight's game.
And for Houston to get a much-needed victory, they are going to have to control the tempo. They cannot allow Steve Nash to race up and down this court in a wild, helter-skelter game and just leave Yao Ming in no man's land all the time. Sean Marion's got the tip. Remarkable.
Sean Marion has been remarkable so far this season. The Suns, meanwhile, not the highest scoring team in the NBA, but they're 3rd, averaging just over 103 per game. And there's one of the new players from this year, James Jones. Despite winning 62 games last year, they made a number of changes.
7 new players for D'Antoni.
Luther Head. Nice entry pass to Howard, who can't hit the layup. The follow, fouling on the boards. And coming away is Raja Bell.
Beautiful pass.
Boris Diaw. And Diaw, of course, obtained in a sign and trade from Atlanta with Joe Johnson, is slowly starting to impress a lot of people around the league, though.
I'm going to be interested to see if the shot clock ever gets below 20 for Phoenix tonight.
Bennett Salvatore with a call away from the ball. It's going to go against Diaw. That's his first.
You mentioned Diaw, the versatility that he brings. Jeff Van Gundy very concerned about the pace that Steve Nash, Diaw, James Jones, Sean Marion, they're all going to come with tonight. That is not the game that Jeff Van Gundy likes.
Well, that's why I think we'll see the shot clock under 20, even though the Rockets have really struggled offensively. And right now they are the lowest scoring team in the league. They're still playing good defense. Shot clock down to 3. Ryan Bowen's not going to get it off in time. And that's just not being aware, and those are the type of mistakes that Jeff Van Gundy says we have to correct. Mental mistakes, knowing where the shot clock is.
They have been beating themselves, and that's so frustrating for a coach like Jeff Van Gundy, who's so passionate, so driven to make it happen here. A lot of people, including myself, thought that Houston would be the 2nd best team in the Western Conference behind San Antonio. It has not played out.
Sean Marion from downtown, and that's a rare occurrence for him this year because Marion 1 for 21 from 3-point range this season before that shot.
That's under 5%. That's hard to do.
Ryan Bowen. And he needs to hit that once in a while. Van Gundy loves his hustle, but teams play off him sometimes because he's not looking for his offense.
Play off him, they don't guard him at all. They just put his man right in Yao Ming's lap and say, hey, let's let Ryan Bowen beat him, and that will be D'Antoni's strategy tonight. Now, if the Rockets can't get the ball to Yao Ming tonight, they are never going to get the ball there.
Bowen misses the 3-pointer.
The tallest guy in the court for Phoenix is maybe 6'6".
Jones.
Put on the line, ill-advised shot. He's going to take that long of a shot. It's got to be a 3.
They list Diaw at 6'8", same for James Jones. Head looking for Howard. Bowen again, wide open, daring him to shoot. And that's not the kind of offense the Rockets want.
Yao Ming should start playing the high post here and then roll down to the low post because they're just making it too tough and their post feeders are not good enough. What a pass, little Stevie.
And Marion, a quick shot Steve Nash still leading the NBA in assists, even without his main guy from last year, Amari Stoudemire. Sean Marion has picked up the slack scoring. Marion has actually played better on the road so far this year. And he is just off to an incredible start.
As have the entire Phoenix Suns roster. They've lost 3 home games already.
And Jones the rebound.
Great start last year that really set the pace at Temple. Steve Nash, too easy.
And a foul. Nash, easy penetration. David Wesley upset with himself, and Nash with a chance for a three-point play.
Steve Nash, the reigning MVP, showing why. The slip pass right down to Sean Marion. And then Nash down the lane. Yao Ming caught in defensive transition where he cannot be a factor.
Meanwhile, Nash has yet to miss a free throw this season. The Suns' consecutive free throw mark is 57. As Nash now 41 straight. He also hit his last 4 from last year, so he right now has a streak of 45. Still way short of the all-time NBA record of 97, but if there's a guy that could do it, it's Steve Nash. That's Michael Williams did that. Nice pass inside. Howard again. That's his second layup. He's unable to convert. And here come the Suns.
Speed and quickness. And Steve Nash.
Roger Bell. Marion, another offensive rebound. And as Bill mentioned, he had 9 offensive boards last night in a victory against the Raptors. Diao. It's the side of the backboard.
Just off.
John Barry running the floor. That's 3 layups now the Rockets have missed. They're 1 of 9 from the field. And Jones comes down and hits a 3.
Jeff Van Gundy cannot be happy with any part of this game. And he's not going with the timeout.
Again, they've played solid defense to keep them in games as the ball deflected, but when you're shooting as poorly as they've been shooting, and Houston are shooting right now just under 41% as a team, and that's dead last in the NBA.
But this is what makes basketball the perfect game. All you have to wait for is the opening tip, and these little fast guys can come out and play a blistering pace. John Barry, finally. John had a big 3 last night. He had 24 to open the season. They struggled since then. I'm going to call a foul on John Barry inside.
Barry trying to front Marion on the lob, fell down. And then Marion, after missing the layup, did a good job getting the offensive rebound to draw the foul.
But as fine a player as John Barry is, he is not going to be able to guard Sean Marion. Very dangerous play. Don't really see any contact there. Referee Courtney Kirkland is right there on top of it. Must have had a much better angle than I did.
Let's send it over to our sideline man today, Mark Jones. Mark?
Yeah, guys, Tracy McGrady undergoing treatment on his lower back as we speak right now, back in the locker room for the Rockets. Now, he injured his lower back about 2 weeks ago, and right now, a bit of a breakthrough. He's working with something called a VAX-D machine. What it does is decompress the spine. He's also doing some core strengthening exercises for treatment, starting to do some cardio as well, 500 jumpers a day with Pete Jones, the trainer. It's the 3rd consecutive game that he's missing, guys. They're estimating that he'll be back within a week to 10 days. But, hey, you know, Mike, Jeff Van Gundy not making excuses. Back to you.
Well, never does. But he does admit their margin for error very slim as Nash knocks down that shot without Tracy McGrady. They have to play near perfect basketball to beat good teams without McGrady.
You have to score points, and it's very difficult with the system, scheme, and roster that Jeff Van Gundy is utilizing right now.
And Howard got tied up trying to get away from James Jones. Raja Bell, alley-oop. Marion gets it again. Another offensive rebound.
Looked like the Charles Smith self-check from the Knicks years ago.
Jones, that's a 2-pointer. And James Jones getting the start with 5 early points.
James Jones does not look cautious or conservative. As every time he's touched the ball, he's jacked up a 3.
He's been unleashed. Who would not love to play for the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash dishing and shots aplenty? They lead by 10 here in the first.
Sean Marion from the Phoenix Suns. I'm wishing you a happy Thanksgiving from me and my team to yours and your team.
He is doing a little bit of everything for his team. What a season starting for Sean Marion now in his 7th year in the NBA. And you name it, he leads them in all of these categories. With Adamari Stoudemire, he has picked up his game, and his game has been in many ways underrated over the years, Bill.
Stuffing that turkey, filling it up, every concept imaginable, leads the team in minutes, points, rebounds, blocks, steals. 13 All-NBA a year ago, and what a fun, dynamic player. Playing for the first time a year ago at the power forward position. A lot of zone defense here tonight for the Suns.
Last touch by Marion. Marion thought he knocked it away. Marion, by the way, 2nd in the NBA in rebounding. And how important is the rebounding with Stoudemire out for him to pick up the slack in that department?
And one of the reasons that the Suns are always atop the statistical categories is at the pace of their game. They have the fastest paced game. Nice attempt by Yao8p8r, but better defense by Boris Diaw.
Diaw gets to Nash running the floor, and they just beat them down the court that time. And lead up to 12. Opponents many times love to play against the Suns in terms of their style and getting up and down, but then they realize quickly, no, this isn't working.
Man, you better be in shape. And I don't know if there's a better conditioned athlete in the NBA right now than little Stevie Nash.
How about Boris Diaw guarding Yao8p8r?
And doing an excellent job. Has Yao8p8r scored tonight?
Hasn't taken a shot yet until then. Can't put it down. Juwan Howard finally gets one in. A foul. Howard frustrated. He's missed a couple of point-blank shots. That time able to put it in.
It's very difficult to play against smaller guys. You're always used to playing against guys your own size, if not bigger than you. And Diaw just doing an outstanding job using his quickness, his instincts, his style. Juwan Howard finally able to stick one home, and this has got to be extremely frustrating, if not embarrassing, for the Houston Rockets, who are getting pounded on their home court. Not a single Southwest Division team has lost this year to a Pacific Division team.
Well, it's still very early to start throwing those things in. It still is the month of November as Howard trying to get the three-point play. Diaw the rebound.
It's a fact.
It's an early season fact.
Well, the only other division that can say that is the Pacific Division against the Southeast Division.
Marion, nice pass, but it was defended well.
I like Diaw's playmaking capabilities. We're seeing a lot from him tonight, and maybe the Phoenix Suns won't miss Joe Johnson as much as everybody thought they would.
Entry pass, Diaw, who got pushed around by Stromile Swift before he got the ball, then fouls him on the entry pass, and he quickly picks up his second. This is a bright young player who's going to do some good things for Phoenix. Again, obtained in the Joe Johnson trade. It's his 3rd year in the league from France. He played pro ball in France for 5 years. First-round pick of the Hawks back in 2003. As we send it over to Mark Jones.
Yeah, I was speaking with Boris before the game. He says that one Tony Parker, fellow countryman from France, has helped him with his transition to the NBA. Also, as Bill likes to say, he won the genetic lottery, and quote unquote, his mother, Elizabeth Rifford, was a former player in France professionally, one of the best female French basketball players of all times, and his father, Issa Diaw, was a former high jumper as well, guys.
Yeah, Mark, they say the mom was the best center. As Kurt Thomas can't hit it, but Sean Marion gets another offensive rebound. Raja Bell won't go and had the rebound. The thing about Diaw is he's so versatile. He's defending the center. He recently had a game where he guarded Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. As Luther Head knocks it down. He had 5 3-pointers last night in their loss in Dallas. And good transition defense from the Rockets.
Phoenix continues to just push the pace relentlessly. Their goal has to be, look, if we get to 80, 85 points, we're going to win this game. And Mike D'Antoni, the reigning coach of the year in the NBA, he has to be extremely pleased with the fact that this Sun team has not felt sorry for itself, not been walking around hanging their heads.
3 guards again in the game. Derek Anderson is checked in for Houston. Jeff Van Gundy doesn't really have a rotation now because of injuries. The foul is going to go against Raja Bell. Aggressive defense against Juwan Howard.
But now we see Jeff Van Gundy making the concession. Hey, it wasn't happening with Yao8p8r. We've got to play their game. Mike D'Antoni setting the tempo, making Houston play Phoenix's pace, defining the terms of the conflict here. And that concept of speed and quickness, you just cannot ever have too much of that in this game.
Luther Head Shot clock down to 7. Anderson can't connect. And the guard, the perimeter shooting has been a problem. The Rockets starting guards combined shooting 39% from the field.
It's a catch-and-shoot roster built around the offensive brilliance of Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady, and those guys haven't been getting it done. Then the perimeter guys aren't shooting either.
Jimmy Jackson's been struggling with his shot.
A lot of hesitation by this Rocket squad. Everybody's pump faking and against guys who aren't playing much defense.
Ron Howard with his second field goal and a little 7-0 run for the Rockets, back within 5. Nash has not been shooting as well. He's off to a superb start in terms of directing the offense, but his shooting numbers down early on, which is not a surprise considering, again, he's adjusting to all his new teammates. And Howard can't hit, so while Swift, the offensive rebound, Kurt Thomas knocks it away. Mike D'Antoni tell us before the game that he thinks they're playing better defensively, the Suns, this year. As Barry gets inside, can't connect.
No offensive rebounds whatsoever. I think the Rockets are playing scared right now, scared about getting run out of their own building.
Raja Bell knocks it down. Well, they're certainly not playing confident basketball because they've had some decent performances, but they can't turn them into wins, and you know how that affects a team.
It's the slowest team in the league. It's the worst offensive team in the league. And that's very difficult when you're struggling to try to work your way out of it coming against the Phoenix Suns, who seem to have really come ready to run and play tonight.
Shot clock at 3. Anderson has to hoist it up. And a 24-second violation. Well, Swift got it off inside. But even they're the worst offensive team without their best offensive player. You have to keep saying that. I know injuries aren't an excuse. Every team goes through them. But it's just, for certain teams, you lose one key player and you're a complete different club.
Amari Stoudemire was 5th in the NBA in scoring a year ago. The Phoenix Suns are still atop the leaderboard in the team scoring.
But they have a larger margin for error because it's a couple of all-stars.
They play a faster pace, which gives you a greater margin of error.
And a whistle. Defensive 3 seconds, so a technical foul. So a one-shot technical coming up for the Houston Rockets. Perhaps an easy bucket for a change. It's been a rough go at the Toyota Center for the Rockets early. They've lost 4 in a row. Right now they trail by 9, under 2 minutes to play here in the first. Rockets down by 9 in the first. Head coach Jeff Van Gundy. Listen to his important message to his team in the recent timeout.
But again, every time it hasn't gone right down here, the first thing I've seen is we drop our heads and trust. There can't be any of that. If you want to win this game, there has to be full speed sprint.
And what happens is that Yao Ming can't get to the offensive glass. His head goes down. Steve Nash, the MVP, in transition, and everybody just standing watching. Jeff Van Gundy delivering the right message, but it's not translating to the players. Fast break points. Phoenix doubling up. Doubling up.
14-0 in fast break points.
I just read that. That's 14 times as many.
Meanwhile, Van Gundy talks all the time about a lot of players. You start missing shots, it zaps your energy sometimes. What you do is you have to fight through struggling offensively to keep that same defensive intensity. Yao Ming back in the game.
Kurt Thomas with an outstanding defensive job away from the ball, denying Yao Ming.
Shot clock down to 4. Eric Anderson comes up short. Yao Ming able to kick it out.
Anderson hit all those shots last night on his way to 19 big points.
More super defense from Kurt Thomas, one of the key reasons they made that trade. And to help them defensively come playoff time. Thomas has struggled on the offensive end.
This is a much faster pace than Kurt Thomas has ever played before.
So it's a big adjustment for the veteran, but you get the feeling he's going to be an excellent pickup by as the year progresses. He's had some terrific seasons for the Knicks over the last several years.
I like the way they're fronting Yao Ming, and then coming from the weak side. This guy Boris Diaw is everywhere.
Diaw now guarding Swift. Luther head. That's another 3. a rookie from Illinois. As we mentioned, career high 28 last night. This is his third straight start. And he's had a couple of three-pointers.
Nice ball movement by Yao.
And Kurt Thomas able to knock it down.
One of the concerns that I had about Kurt Thomas was, would he be able to make the transition to the up-tempo game that Phoenix loves to play, as opposed to the grinded-out game that he's played for so many years, if not decades, for the Knicks.
Anderson short, the foul by Jimmy Jackson. We talked to Kurt Thomas before the game, and he said it. He goes, yeah, it's different, but you know me, I'll be fine. Yeah, he's that type of veteran that it might take him a little while to adjust to a complete different style.
He's a methodical professional. Comes to work every day. Only missed 7 games in his entire stretch with the New York Knicks, Kurt Thomas did.
As Anderson knocks down the first. You can vote now. Go to NBA.com and cast your ballot for the 2006 All-Star Game, which will be right here at the Toyota Center in Houston. As Yao Ming sits down. No points. Nash getting his usual early rest. He's got 9 points and 4 assists already.
Derek Anderson, one of the real beneficiaries of the amnesty rule, along with Michael Finley, Brian Grant, who's in this game, a deep reserve for D'Antoni's Phoenix Suns right now.
Yeah. Nice floater, short. Swift the rebound. Rockets will hold it for the final shot of the period.
The Rockets will get a bucket here. They'll consider themselves very fortunate.
Not a good shot that time from head. There's still about 5 seconds left. And that will end the first quarter. A rough start for the Houston Rockets. They bounce back a little bit. They trail by as many as 12. As we go to the second, Suns lead has been cut to 6. Just this past week, the entire Phoenix Suns team and Suns legends replaced their uniforms with aprons to benefit Suns Night Hoops. They participated in their 9th annual Celebrity Waiters event. Not only did they wait tables, the players played a video game challenge, sang karaoke, and just spent a good night hanging out with their fans. The Suns Night Hoops, an educational job placement and recreation program that offers alternatives to drugs, gangs, and violence. Another terrific example of how the NBA cares. And Steve Nash, of course, is part of those festivities, now relaxing as his team has a 6-point lead heading into the second.
And the Phoenix Suns will have an open practice Saturday to the public as part of the NBA Cares program. That will be a special event. We'll be in Phoenix Friday night with New Jersey, Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, and hopefully Vince Carter.
A lot of points in that one.
Good.
Derek Anderson drives and draws a foul. And Derek Anderson is a player that they really need to start being consistent. Anderson now in his 9th year. It's his 5th NBA team. He's on the free agent deal this summer with the Rockets. He's got the ability to score if he stays healthy, but he needs to be consistent.
The biggest thing that the Rockets need to do is increase the tempo here. When you talk about the Phoenix Suns game, what they do, they play at a pace that the other teams can't match. And the Phoenix Suns defense, you thought they would really struggle against the big guys with Amari Stoudemire out, but the Suns have held opposing starting centers to only 6 points per game this season. And Yao Ming has yet to even score in this game. 7 minutes, has not made a basket on 2 attempts.
Stromile Swift is playing the center right now. Eddie House never shy to fire up. Off the mark that time.
Nice shot selection. And Mike D'Antoni says, yeah, jack him up out there, Eddie.
Sometimes it takes a little time for opponents to adjust to the tempo and trying to slow it down because it's easy to get caught up into it when you're against it. Anderson won't go. Fight for the rebound. Kurt Thomas comes away. Anderson now 0 for 4 from the field.
Tremendous determination by Thomas.
Neither team shooting well, to say the least. Suns 37% and the Rockets 25%.
And going down for the Houston Rockets.
David Wesley, who's been shooting much better recently. Entry pass, Ryan Bone couldn't handle it. Swift just throws it up.
He got his feet taken out from underneath him with the scrum underneath the basket.
Yeah, the extra pass. There's James Jones. Knocks down the three. They're now 3 for 5 from three-point range.
This guy, Boris Diaw, is playing an outstanding overall game. He's guarded virtually everybody already on the Houston Rockets. His swing play up on the top in the high post transition game, very nice.
He's got 4 assists already. John Barry. Swift, another player they need to start being more consistent offensively. There's a double team, and he got bailed out that time. With 3 left on the shot clock, it will be their second team foul against the Suns.
You talk about Stromile Swift. How about a little bit more enthusiasm? How about a little bit more industriousness? The cornerstones of any successful program. He's out there playing like he's doing us a favor by being here, and that won't get it done in this league.
Playing a backup with the Memphis Grizzlies, now a chance to do some things with the Rockets, who trail by 7.
John Saunders back in the studio with a Taco Bell update. Alonzo Mourning, of course, having to pick up the slack without Zoe. Gathers himself, jams that one down against the Blazers as the Heat still trail right now. Mike.
Thank you, John. Back here in Houston, the Rockets still trail. They're shooting just 24% from the field. And part of the problem has been the strong defense against Yao Ming.
The defensive concept that D'Antoni brings. You got Boris Diaw, the first-year player, coming over for the Suns. He's fronting, denying Yao Ming possession. Then Kurt Thomas with a different look. A little more strength, position, the ability to push him off the box. And then Diaw back on him once again, behind him, in front of him, always moving, confusing, confounding Yao Ming, who can't even get the ball and has yet to score in this game.
Yeah, there you see, he doesn't have any fouls. Doesn't have any points either. And right now he's on the bench.
And the thing to be very concerned about for Yao Ming and Houston Rocket fans is that Yao Ming generally plays his best at the beginnings of the game.
Played 37 minutes last night. His minutes are up a bit as Swift gets inside. And that's the kind of explosiveness they need to see from Stromile Swift.
Quick hitting attack. Don't get the ball and stop and think you got to make another play after somebody's already creative genius.
James Jones, Barry contests the shot, and we talk about all the problems the Rockets have been having. They're only down by 5, and it's the same scenario. Their defense keeps them in the games. Anderson, and it's now a 3-point game.
I'm wondering if D'Antoni has ever said to his players, "That's a bad shot."
You don't want to discourage them. Jimmy Jackson with a 3-pointer. Jackson with his first field goal.
But it's such a contrast in styles. The whole organization, from the coaches on down. Jeff Van Gundy calling all the plays and is grimacing on the sideline if somebody makes a mistake. And Mike D'Antoni over there is always saying, "Hey, get it back on the defensive end. Let's run. Let's play."
Shot clock down to 7 as Anderson with a couple of buckets here to come alive. He missed his first 4 from the field, but now has 8 points. Diaw fouled by John Barry.
I'd like to take a moment here to wish Dick Van Arsdale our best from ESPN. Dick Van Arsdale, the original Sun, had a stroke over the weekend. It's very sad because he's such a great guy. Dick Van Arsdale, the executive vice president of the Phoenix Suns, 62 years old now, has been with the franchise since its inception in 1968. As a player, a 3-time All-Star television commentator, a coach, executive. We really want you to get better quickly, Dick. You are what the NBA is all about. We are praying and pulling for you, big guy.
You've always been a big part of the Phoenix Suns. And this holiday wishes, simply as you say, Bill. All our best to him and his family. And moving screen on Stromile Swift. That's his first.
Stromile Swift comes in, and as a screener, you just have to stay still. John Barry, it's his responsibility to use a stationary object there, but when you go that far off the screen, the temptation is to stick that leg out a little bit. They're going to call that every time, as they should.
More so this year. It's a point of emphasis for the officials. Shot clock at 8. Marion. How about Marion? He's 1 for 21 from 3-point range for the season, and he's 2 for 2 here tonight. He's always been a pretty good 3-point shooter, so you knew it was a matter of time before he'd start hitting it. Anderson.
I That's the great thing about stats. This early in the season, one game will just turn everything around for you.
Yao draws the foul. By the way, they call that last Marion shot now a 2. They've changed it. It's his foot just on the line.
Eddie House, nice ball movement, giving it up to a guy who's actually got both feet on the line right there. Referees train their eyes to always follow the feet as the guy's going into his shooting rhythm.
So Yao missing the first one, but he has been a fine, averaging 5.5 assists per game. Reminder, TNT Thursday on Thanksgiving tomorrow. The Cavs and the Pacers in Indiana, followed by the Sonics and Lakers in LA. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Then NBA TV Saturday. Cavs at home against Minnesota. Coverage beginning at 7:30. Boy, Cleveland just looks superb as Swift gets inside.
8 wins in a row for Cleveland. The game tomorrow night at Indiana. Huge opportunity for LeBron James.
Jones just spots up a wide open 3. Anderson bump and a late whistle, and that's the right call. They were going to let it go if it didn't affect the play, but House certainly bumped into Anderson.
And why argue if you're Eddie House? Eddie House, who is Mike Bibby's brother-in-law. Eddie House married Mike Bibby's sister. The bump from behind in transition. The great thing about D'Antoni, he just keeps bringing in these guys who can jack up shots. They don't have any big stiffs on their team.
Well, he's still learning about some of the new players as Wesley gets inside. Misses an open jumper.
But notice how the outlets are so much shorter, almost handing back when Steve Nash goes to the bench.
Eddie House comes right back with another shot. Miles Swift now starting to play a little bit. Getting involved. He's got 6 rebounds. As Wesley is fouled on the way in.
I'm very interested to see how much longer Jeff Van Gundy is going to go without Yao Ming, who has been ineffective tonight. But this guy is the franchise. And this is a #1 player. This is a guy who a lot of people think is the future of basketball. Right now, he's just not getting it done as the game has been too quick for him.
Overall, though, his scoring is up. His field goal percentage is about the same, and he's even improved his rebounding a little bit lately. The main thing they'd like to see from him more is crunch time. 4th quarter of games start to take him in. He's had a lot of big first halves, Yao Ming. Like example, last night in Dallas had 15 points in the first half, only 5 in the second.
But last night in the game, Mike, Houston could not deny penetration to the quicker team, the Dallas Mavericks, who, by the way, are playing fabulous basketball, and they could not rebound against a shorter team. And that same scenario is playing out tonight.
There you see the Sun. That's not a bad assist to turnover ratio. Rajah Bell can't connect. The Rockets has Norm contesting his shots. It's one of the reasons Phoenix is shooting just 38% from the field.
The amazing thing is he's down.
Let's not forget, not only is McGrady out, but Rafe Ralston, who's supposed to be their starting point guard, he's missing his 4th straight game.
Bobby Sura, his career is in jeopardy at this point with the back operation yesterday.
Wesley, nice pump fake, and knocks down the 3 as the shot clock expires. Chris shook his man for a second. And how about this? All the problems they've had in the first half, it's a 1-point game.
Surprisingly, D'Antoni brings Steve Nash back in.
But only a 1-point game for a couple of seconds when you play the Phoenix Suns. And that was a 2-pointer from Bell. Still Miles Swift trying to get the opportunity, knocked away by Marion.
And all the big men for Houston are playing too slow.
But look at Diao. He handles the ball so well. Again, he's listed at 6'8". And Mike D'Antoni says he sees the floor so well. He's just got a real good feel for the game, a game he's still learning.
But with Houston showing signs of life because of the perimeter shooting of a number of players, particularly David Wesley, able to ignore the flyby, and right now the Houston Rockets back in this one. How can the Suns counteract this surge?
ESPN's presentation of NBA Wednesday, brought to you by Walt Disney Pictures, The Chronicles of Narnia, coming to theaters everywhere December 9th. And Subway. Experience the new fresh toasted chicken Parmesan sub today. Subway. Eat fresh.
Houston Rockets trying to snap a 4-game losing streak at the Toyota Center. Right now they trail by 3 as we're midway through the second. You look at the standings right now, and they're in last place in the Southwest, just 3-8. And it looks tough, certainly, but there are reasons why this team is struggling. We mentioned Tracy McGrady. This is his 6th game out. So difficult to win without Tracy McGrady, obviously. But you also look at the schedule, Bill. They played some very tough teams, and they played most of these teams very tough into the fourth quarter late in the game.
Can't close it out, the Houston Rockets. They might have lost those 4 games with Tracy McGrady. But right now, they're playing the Phoenix Suns, also a depleted team. And then Friday night, it's at Memphis. Mike Fratello just doing a tremendous job there.
But Jeff Van Gundy, he doesn't want to hear it about no McGrady, but at the same time, crunch time, that's McGrady time for this team. That's where they miss him the most, and that's where they've lost so many of these close games.
The biggest fear for the Rockets right now is that they get into that losing mentality where they don't have the hope or the confidence that they can get it done at the end.
John Marion, quick release. Luther Head really helping out on the boards. That's his 5th rebound. He had 7 last night. Nice feed inside. And a rare fast break opportunity for the Rockets. You don't see them get many easy baskets, although that wasn't easy. Swift just made a strong play. Diao able to put it in.
Diao made that whole play happen. He set it up with the high screen initially for Steve Nash, then turned his back on the roll. Steve couldn't throw it to him because Diao had no idea the ball was even coming.
Luther Head, offensive foul. Was barreled into James Jones, so Head picks up his first.
Down the lane, Luther Head, just a rookie, not going to get any sort of call whatsoever. Well outside the lane, the Phoenix defender.
He's not made because he's a rookie.
You're right, and I apologize.
What are you trying to say about the officials? They do a fine job. They should have the rookies with a big R on their jerseys, the scarlet letter. Sean Marion hits the 3. Marion from outside shooting very well. He's got 12 points and 6 boards.
Mike, I've had another apology.
We could be here a long time if you start this.
That I haven't spent the last year watching the Atlanta Hawks diligently enough to know that Boris Diaw is such an outstanding player.
He's slowly becoming one. Stromae Swift is slowly having an impact on this game. 8 points for Swift. Inside pass from Nash.
This guy's playing center.
But he's one of those guys that fills the stat sheet. Good rebounder, good shot blocker. He can score. He's really improving on his defense. There's a 22nd timeout call by Jeff Van Gundy.
And like so many of the international players, is completely versatile, can do it all. Right now, the Suns have righted their ship. What's Van Gundy going to do about it?
The Toyota halftime show coming up with John Saunders, Greg Anthony, Tim Legler, and Stephen A. Smith. Some of the topics. Kevin Garnett will he be staying in Minnesota? The Nuggets in Detroit against the Pistons. And, of course, the football news. Where would a day be without another update on Terrell Owens?
Who's driving those KG rumors? The New York media?
Sean Marion with a steal.
What ball movement? Is this a fun team to watch or what? Everybody's handling the ball.
And many times without a dribble. And Diao, boy, if he develops an outside shot, how tough is he going to be? For so many people, Bill, like yourself, and you admit it, you have not seen a lot of him. None of us have. But he's so versatile.
When was the last time you did a national game in Atlanta?
Going. Won't go. I don't think I've ever done one. Seen him play over the years, but he wasn't a big-time player. Like last year, he played about 18 minutes a game. You could see glimpses, but nothing that you thought he could be this good.
I like the feel that he has for just how to play. If you can learn how to roll to the basket by keeping his eye on the ball.
Look at that. And again, a key is he went to set a screen, saw it wasn't there, and he adjusts to where the defense is so well. And the lead just like that is back up to 10. They had cut it to 1.
Moving without the ball, knowing that you have a chance to get it.
Head shot won't go.
Elijah Bell, a big free agent acquisition.
Nash gets inside, gets hammered by Swift. And again, a problem is the guards against the Rockets beating them off the dribble and getting in the paint.
Steve Nash waiting for that pick. It doesn't come to left-handed delivery. And then comes right down the lane. No defensive stopping capabilities.
They have 18 assists and 1 turnover.
That's a good ratio.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Toyota Center. The Rockets trailing by 10, 48-38. You talk about a lot of new pieces to the puzzle for the Phoenix Suns this year, missing several key members from last year. Some of them departed, like Quincy Richardson and Quentin Richardson, and Amari Stoudemire, of course, out. Joe Johnson gone to the Atlanta Hawks in a sign-and-trade deal. Meanwhile, an update on Amari Stoudemire. His 26-9 very much missed. Yesterday, he showed up on the Phoenix Suns bench for the first time without his crutches. Now, he's in the 32nd day of his rehabilitation after that left knee surgery that he had a little over a month ago. Phoenix officials telling me before the game that he is ahead of schedule. He's doing some light and low resistance exercises as rehab. The good news, Mike D'Antoni tells me, is that there was no atrophy in the left quadriceps muscle, which is usually the case when people undergo that surgery. And they're still looking at a mid to late February return, guys, for Stoudemire. The good news is that the spot of the trauma is not as vulnerable in a position as it was with others like Penny Hardaway and C. Webb that had the same type of surgery. Back to you guys.
All right, Mark. As Derek Anderson puts it in, also good news is how young he is and how he's going to be able to bounce back. Meanwhile, Steve Nash actually missed a free throw, his first of the year, after going 41 for 41 to start the season.
But the play Steve Nash did right there, when he stole the lob pass to Yao Ming and then tried to keep possession by throwing it off Yao Ming's back, that's why he's the MVP.
Raja Bell able to put it in.
Back to Amari Stoudemire. He should not play at all until he is more than 100%. That guy he's a franchise level player. He's 22 years old. Has anybody come back from that surgery anywhere close to being what they were before?
Luther Head hits the 3. But Bill, he's already said that. He said there's no way he's going to come back till he's ready. He's talked to people that have had that injury. And you can bet the Phoenix Suns, after investing so much money in him, as Grant puts up the shot, they feel the same way. There is no way they're going to rush their young star back.
They should send him to Hawaii. Say, just come on back when you're feeling like playing basketball. But it's not like he needs motivation. He is as hungry as they come.
He certainly is. The Suns trying to hang tough without him. And a foul on the entry pass to Yao Ming. Suns will be in a penalty. So Yao's going to go to the free throw line to try and get his first points of the game.
A moment ago, we talked about Steve Nash. He comes from the weak side. He steals the lob pass, and then he has no place to go, so he throws it off Yao Ming's back, who has no idea. And then Steve, unable. But the elevation of Steve Nash. Is he the most fun player to watch in all of basketball? And when I watch that, there is nobody that I say, oh my gosh, or did you see that more than this guy, who, by the way, did not win the genetic lottery.
The NBA MVP, who plays with such joy, so unselfish, all year long, with all the accolades coming, just kept trying to deflect it, gave it to his coach, gave it to his teammates.
And as the MVP, joined only a handful of guards who have ever won the MVP.
One of only 6. Grant left open. And Luther Head with another rebound. Head with 6 boards. The Rockets still trail by 9 as we approach a minute remaining.
That should have been a dribbling violation right there. Steve Nash looking at referee Courtney Perkins saying, come on, keep your eye on the ball. We're keeping the game.
Wesley. And Marion just tips it to a teammate.
They got transition, 5-on-4. Yao Ming's behind the play.
James Jones will try another 3. Marion on the follow. Sean Marion, another offensive board. His 8th total rebound. He's got 14 points.
He had 9 last night in the offensive glass against the mighty Raptors. No Suns players had more in a regulation game since Charles Barkley did in '95, 10 years ago.
Bill, that's his 5th offensive rebound of the first half. John Barry gets inside, blocked with a foul. And Barry will shoot 2. And Sean Marion picks up his second.
What a springboard. How much fun is the game of basketball when you can do that and nobody is putting a body on you? You just come out and say, okay, I hope this guy misses. I'm coming flying in from the weak side. I can gauge my steps like a triple jumper here. John Barry, a rare miss. That guy's a great free throw shooter.
That's his second miss. He missed the technical free throw earlier.
And you can see the frustration and anger on this tremendous player. He had 24 points in the opening night of the season.
He loves playing for Jeff Van Gundy so much, and talk about how much he's learned from him, that it's frustrating him that he's now able to help more right now. He's confident it'll turn around, but it's been a tough struggle. And a moving screen on Grant.
When you come with that dribble handoff, it's just like coming to a two-footed stop, and you have to execute that. And Ryan Grant, without the knees any longer in his career to be able to come to that hard, difficult stop, but still will do whatever he can just to be a part of a special team, Ryan Grant.
Shot clock is turned off, so the Rockets will hold it for the final shot of the period. Wesley getting inside, just kind of flipped it up at the basket. Grant the save. Jones will have time to get it off. Just off the mark, may not have counted anyway, as that will end the first half.
James Jones, the first time he touched it to open this game, jacked up a three-pointer, and to end the half, another three-pointer. Now that's fun basketball.
Meanwhile, fun basketball for the Phoenix Suns as they go into the locker room with a double-digit lead. They led by as many as 12. Rockets came back. They cut it to 1 a point late in the second, but another mini run to end the period. And it's a 10-point lead right now as we go to Mark Jones.
Boris, 10 points in the first half for you, but your work defensively early, especially against Yao Ming, was very impressive. What was your approach to trying to stop him?
I mean, the approach is as a team. I don't play myself because I can't. I'm too small. He's 7'6". And so Sean Marion, the first, tried to helping me defend him on the block.
En français, qu'est-ce que vous étudiez cette match maintenant? Did you study this game for this game plan tonight?
Yeah, of course we studied out. We got to get ready because we know Houston is the three. They're a really good team, and so we have to study them if we want to play good.
Très bien, mon ami.
All right, thanks.
So guys, back to you. Pardon my French.
Mark Jones showing off his bilingual ability.
My kudos to Mark Jones. English is my fourth language. I can only go to the Lexus Lounge to try to regroup. We'll see you in the second half.
The Phoenix Suns with 20 assists and just 3 turnovers in the first half. Coming up, the Toyota halftime show. Lots of NBA talk, including the latest on Kevin Garnett. And also some football news with Terrell Owens. The Phoenix Suns shooting just 47% from the field, but getting 14 points from Sean Marion, 9 assists from Steve Nash. They lead by 10 at the road. Halftime in Houston. Halftime in Houston, the Phoenix Suns with a 10-point lead as the Rockets trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Rockets shooting problems again, 36% from the field. Meanwhile, Steve Nash and Sean Marion getting it done again for the Phoenix Suns. Hi again, everyone, with Bill Walton, Mike Breen on hand. Mark Jones will be with us again in just a couple of minutes. But Phoenix, again, on the road. They're playing pretty good basketball, and Nash and Marion just beautiful together.
Such a contrast in styles, and it has played out beautifully for Mike D'Antoni's Phoenix Suns. Steve Nash had an early tempo that Houston was unable to match. He had tremendous support from Boris Diaw and Sean Marion. Steve Marion, 14 points on 5 for 9 shooting, 8 big rebounds. He's off to another huge night. Steve Nash, the catalyst, the MVP, and Boris Diaw, a breakout game and emerging. The question over the Houston Rockets, where is Yao Ming and what is he doing out there? He's only got 2 points in 11 minutes. The tallest guy in the Phoenix Suns is 6'6", 6'7", only 2 shot attempts, has not blocked a shot.
And doesn't have any fouls, so it's not like he's in foul trouble. They've had to get help from elsewhere as the pace of the game has been difficult. for Yao Ming as we send it over to Mark.
Yeah, guys, a couple of things out of the Rockets locker room. Spoke with assistant coach Patrick Ewing. He says that we have got to make them feel us defensively. 3 turnovers created in the first half, just not enough. We allowed them to shoot 47% from the field, just not good. Meanwhile, as it pertains to Yao Ming, he says that, hey, Yao's got to be ready to go with the ball when we get it to him. They're fronting him, which is causing some difficulties, but he's got to be on balance, ready to shoot it or make a pass as soon as he gets it, guys. Back to you.
You know, Mark, that's one area that they've struggled all season. They're last in the NBA in forcing turnovers as Ryan Bowen given a shot, can't put it in. His teams are only turning it over just over 12. Raja Bell misses the reverse.
That was Boris Diaw, their center, leading the fast break. And they drop back into the zone defense here, confounding the Rockets' thought processes.
Trying to get Yao Ming involved. He's getting doubled every time they look on that strong side. Offensive foul called against Derek Anderson. That's his first.
Yao Ming struggling mightily in all aspects of the game tonight. Just can't seem to have any luck at all, success trying to get possession. It's just not working for Yao Ming at all. They've got to make some sort of adjustment, if not changes.
And Diaw puts it in. Boris Diaw now with 12 points. Again, see Ryan Bowen left open. That's what he needs to do. Now, Ryan Bowen's a wonderful hustle player, energizer, plays so hard, but offensively, teams can double team Yao Ming and just leave him open and dare him to shoot. Diaw just glides in and nobody puts a body on him, and that's what drives Jeff Van Gundy crazy.
Jeff Van Gundy going without a normal power forward.
And Bowen's going to have that shot. Sean Marion just sitting down. He looked over at Mike D'Antoni. Should we keep doing it? And D'Antoni nodded his head.
It's not as if Ryan Bowen is going to get 50 points.
Sean Marion. Rebounding numbers +2 for the Rockets. The Suns have only out-rebounded their opponent one time this season. That was last night against Toronto. It's an area that they struggle, obviously, without Amari Stoudemire.
I love the way that Phoenix tips the ball to their teammates. And this guy, Yao, just got a sense of how to play basketball, how to roll to the opening, how to catch and finish, swing the ball.
Nash. This again, the second game of back-to-back for both teams.
And a harder back-to-back for Phoenix.
They played at home last night.
But it's a longer trip than Dallas is, where the Rockets play.
And now every trip long for Houston. They're trying to win without Tracy McGrady. They're 0-5 without McGrady. He's not playing tonight. There's Nash. This would happen in the first half. The Suns went up quickly early, up by as many as 12. Rockets cut it to 1 at one point. But if you just relax for a moment defensively, there's Anderson with a pretty shot. The Suns score so quickly.
And the way they inbound the ball, whoever is first to the basket on the defensive end, just grab it and throw it in quickly. James Jones having the time of his life.
Spotting up, and he's the 4th Sun in double figures, now with 11.
James Jones, who played last couple of years for the Indiana Pacers, and Rick Carlisle has to be on cloud 9 with the offensive freedom he has here.
Luther ahead from downtown, and that's starting to get consistent. That's his 4th three-pointer. He's 10th in the NBA in three-point shooting percentage, 50% coming in.
James Jones, who was a big-time scorer at the NCAA level at the University of Miami. Really, this is his first chance. Welcome to the NBA, Mr. Jones.
He was a backup in Indiana. Played a lot last year after the suspensions, and Yao Ming with his first field goal of the game.
And that draws either a roar of support or amazement from the crowd.
This crowd's been pretty quiet as Nash comes up short. Ryan Bowen gets right up in Nash's face.
Steve Nash has not shot this poorly on the season, the field goal percentage, since the '99 season when he was then with Dallas.
Well, again, very early in the year as Wesley can't get it to go. This time Yao tips it out. And the fans trying to applaud at least the extra effort right now for Houston.
Steve Nash shooting now 43% in the season. That year, '99, he shot 36%.
Ryan Bowen, 3 field goals to begin the third quarter, and it's back to a 2-point game.
I retract my earlier statement. He might get 50 here in the second half.
A chance of defense from the crowd. Bowen with the deflection. Luther, oh, what a fake from Luther Head. And they've tied the game. Timeout Phoenix.
The Houston Rockets, who would have ever thought? Yao Ming, scoreless. Up to this point, finally gets the ball in the low post to drop step. He's guarded that time by James Jones, who's giving up maybe 18 inches. And then Luther Head in transition. The ball fake a la Pete Maravich, Walt Frazier tease him, and the Rockets right back on a massive, impressive 15-3 run.
The Houston Rockets with the lowest shooting percentage in the NBA in this young season, 8 for 10 from the field here in this third quarter to tie the game after trailing by 12.
15-3 run over the last 3 minutes, 16 seconds. The Ryan Bowen show here at the Toyota Center tonight. He is just everywhere, and why not? They're not even guarding him. Ryan Bowen is so open, you have to shoot this ball. And then on the very next possession, Ryan Bowen again wide open. There's nobody within 15 feet of the guy. They are just standing back in Yao Ming's lap saying, we're daring Ryan Bowen to beat us. And right now, the young man Ryan Bowen has responded to the challenge.
Ryan Bowen, who Pat Riley called the best hustling player in the NBA, had 9 total points all season. He's got 8 here tonight. Yao. Spinning, kicks it out. And the shot clock build is down to 7, so a 3-second violation. Offensive 3 seconds called against Phoenix. That's the lowest we've seen the shot clock certainly tonight.
Maybe all season for Mike D'Antoni's Phoenix Suns. That time Yao Ming stepped out to double team Steve Nash. I'm not sure that that's the correct use of Yao Ming's defensive capabilities.
Well, they need help on those high pick and rolls, at least even momentarily.
But yet Yao Ming is not the quickest player in the league.
Goes inside, blocked by Diao. Bowen, no, kicks it out. The extra pass. Derek Anderson stripped by Raja Bell. Raja Bell, a very good defensive player that's improved his team's D.
And that's why Jerry Sloan loved him. Phoenix Suns gave Raja Bell a tremendous contract to leave Utah.
5 years, $24 million. Nash just kind of flips it up in the basket, hoping for a foul. Anderson has had a good stroke tonight. Not that time.
I'm not sure the Houston Rockets are in good enough shape to play this up and down pace.
The pace is certainly quickened in the last couple of minutes. Nash inside. James Jones for 3.
He's had more shot attempts, James Jones, in this game than he had in the years that he played for Rick Carlisle.
Well, he's got the most attempts by anybody in this game. 12 field goal attempts. He's got now 14 points.
And how many of those are threes now?
Wesley, meanwhile, had a 3, passed up, and the foul line jumper won't go.
James Jones has played a very solid all-around floor game on the backboards, defending, rotating, helping out on Yao Ming.
He's taken 5 3-point attempts, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
The statistician supplying the info.
I thought you were like everybody else was ignoring.
Jones, there it is. His 6th 3-point attempt. James Jones in his 3rd year in the league. His 1st year he hardly played at all. Last year he got the start because of all the suspensions. And then coming over and getting a key role with the Phoenix Suns and responding with 17 points so far tonight.
It's the James Jones show tonight. Penetration and dish. That's championship style. James Jones, no hesitation, no indecision, no doubt whatsoever.
He's tied his season high with 17 as the Suns back up by 6.
Time now for the Chrysler Power Performance of the night, and this one really goes over the past week or so. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've won 8 in a row. averaging over 108 points a game. Margin of victory is almost 16. Rebound margin is over 14. Field goal percentage shooting at about 48% per game. And LeBron James is scoring at 28 points a clip. That is definitely a power performance from the Cavaliers.
All right, John. Now there's a Thanksgiving face here at the Toyota Center.
And John Saunders was talking about LeBron James' power performance. Well, tomorrow night, LeBron James against Ron Artest in Indianapolis. That will be a special Thanksgiving treat.
Cleveland, of course, last year started well. They had their struggles and missed the playoffs. Right now, Phoenix leading by 6. Yao Ming on the bench with just over 5 to play in the third.
Just when it looked like it was coming together for Houston. The threes by James Jones. The tempo pickup by Steve Nash. The rebounding dominance by Sean Marion.
They got caught up a little bit. You can stay with them maybe for a few times up and down the course, but this is where the Suns love to play. Luther Head, boy, that was way off.
This was the guy, Luther Head, who had 21 points in the championship game at the NCAA level last year against North Carolina.
He's not on the NCAA level anymore.
How many missed threes did the Fighting Illini have in that game?
And it's still moderate. Meanwhile, Swift fouls Marion on the way to the basket. That's 3 fouls on Stromile Swift, and only the first team foul against the Rockets.
But Jeff Van Gundy just has to be so frustrated. And the team plays well in spurts. And here's a guy who just demands excellence, demands perfection, and demands a level of professionalism.
You know what? He doesn't demand perfection, but he demands that you just compete and play with a certain spirit. And at times that hasn't been there for this team.
Isn't that perfection?
Sean Marion.
Nice tip again by the Suns.
Luther Head comes out of the pack.
See the difference. Every time Houston gets the ball, they come to a stop and pump fake.
John Barry can't get it to fall.
And John Barry at this point in his career is going to have to be hot as can be able to make that shot off his own dribble against a dug-in defender.
Under 4 minutes remaining in the third. Raja Bell off the dribble. Wesley, according to Courtney Kirkland, hit him on the arm. That's a third foul on Wesley.
If you foul a guy going to his left, out of his range, off his own dribble, that's a poor defensive decision by David Wesley.
Raja Bell, as Bill mentioned, after 2 pretty good years with the Utah Jazz, signing a big free agent contract, a $24 million deal with Phoenix, and getting a starting role as he misses the first. A reminder, TNT on Thursday. It's the Cavs and the Pacers Thanksgiving night, followed by the Sonics and the Lakers. And then NBA TV Saturday, Minnesota and Cleveland on Gund Arena. As Bell goes 1 for 2.
Raja Bell is just one of those great NBA stories. He just comes from nowhere, as David Wesley did. These guys who just work their way into good situations and become NBA stars. And very rich along the way. Congratulations.
Raja Bell, with his defense, takes it away from Derek Anderson. That's the second time he's had a nice strip.
I just love the way they find Steve Nash, no matter the situation, in transition.
Jackson can't get it to fall. Sean Marion, another offensive rebound, and that's a goaltend on Swift. That ball is going to be short.
What does he think?
You know what you just said about Nash and how they always find him? A big part of that, he always puts him in a position where they can see him.
But he doesn't come too close to where it becomes a meaningless pass. He doesn't run back to the defensive rebounder to slow down the fast break.
He just knows where to be. Lead back up to 9 after the Rockets had climbed all the way back from 12 down to tie it here in the third. This is a real roller coaster ride for Houston, and this is what happens. They go through stretches.
But Van Gundy has realized that it's not happening with Yao Ming tonight. He's got he got 4 guards out there in Stromile. But Juwan Howard, a non-factor tonight. That's got it.
Nash fallen upon. A host of Rockets in the area. Derek Anderson picks up his second. Rockets' third team foul. And here's to show you why here's the contact, but why the Rockets, as Jeff Van Gundy said, we don't make contact. We avoid contact. They don't have a single team foul. Houston doesn't have a single team foul here in this quarter. Or Phoenix doesn't, I should say.
I always felt that you had to start the fourth quarter with 4 fouls as an individual.
Well, what do we say? Was it last week we were talking about? Doc Rivers told me a story about his father. First question he used to ask him when he came home from a game: how many fouls did you have? Because that showed him how aggressive that he was in the game.
Wild shot selection.
It's a 24-second shot clock, and this is where again they have such a small margin for error without Tracy McGrady. They can't afford to shoot a low percentage against a good team.
Nobody has any idea when Tracy's going to be able to play, and the Rockets just have to forget about it and just go with what they have. That's what the Suns have done here tonight.
Jackson, that's a 2-pointer for Jimmy Jackson.
Sean Marion's ability to cover ground. He's not a very tall guy, so long though, and his sense of anticipation, the bounce, the offensive foul, the wraparound along the baseline, whistled against Miles Swift.
That's his 4th foul. By the way, to answer your question with McGrady, as Mark Jones reported earlier, they're figuring right now about 7 to 10 days before he returns. One of the problems is there might be a night where he feels a little bit better, but you don't want to have him play 3 games, then miss 2, then play 4, then miss another. That's just not going to get it done.
And with the type of injury that he had, I mean, that's like, okay, Tracy, tell us when it feels better, and then we'll put you out there. Pass Eddie House.
Good Thomas. Quick outlet. Rockets with only 4 fast break points compared to 15 for Phoenix. Anderson fouled, and Anderson is one of the few Rockets who can beat his man off the dribble. He's been pretty aggressive offensively tonight as Raja Bell picks up his 2nd.
Derek Anderson, who was a regular starter at the start of this season, fell out of the rotation a little bit when we were here a week ago. A big game last night as the 3rd leading scorer up in Dallas. This is the guy, Moochie Norris, who came in last night and really gave the Rockets a big lift. Surprised that they've waited this long to come with Moochie.
Well, Moochie Norris, 32 years old. His quickness makes this a difficult matchup for him, but as Jeff Van Gundy says, we're very organized when Norris is out there. Yao Ming, aggressive that time. Just his 2nd field goal, and it brings the Rockets within 7.
Yao Ming more comfortable in the defense that Kurt Thomas is going to throw at him. More predictable, more plodding. Look at that shot.
Sean Marion tips it out again.
Nobody has put a body on Sean Marion tonight.
We credit him with the rebound on that. That's his 11th and 6th offensive. And here are the 2nd shot opportunities. Van Gundy told us before the game, and this was the case last night. We play extremely well till the ball goes up in the air, and then guys aren't putting a body on anyone.
I'll give you a tip, Mike. The ball's in the air a lot in this game.
Marion with the steal, but somehow gets back to Miles Swift.
Oh. Stick a fork in it, John, over there, please.
Swift trying a little crossover move. Excellent defense from Kurt Thomas.
This looks like chaos.
Well, chaos nearly resulted in a 3. Give the Suns some credit defensively. They are playing much better defensively, as Mike D'Antoni told us before the game. Moochie Norris with a foul. Rockets had a foul to give. With 7 seconds remaining in the 3rd.
Without Steve Nash, where's the creativity going to come from? Eddie House is going to be looking for his own shot out there. Nice screen by Kurt Thomas.
Marion does not get it off in time. That one will not count. And that ends the 3rd quarter. Another roller coaster ride as Steve Nash and the Suns led by as many as 12. Yao Ming and the Rockets tied the game up early in the 3rd with a big 15-3 run. Well, the Suns control down the stretch. A 12-2 run for Phoenix to end the 3rd quarter. As we head to the 4th quarter in Houston, it's the road team with a 10-point lead.
Hi, this is David Wesley of the Houston Rockets. Thanksgiving means to me family and friends and everybody getting together.
Hi, this is John Barry of the Houston Rockets, and my favorite thing about Thanksgiving is turkey, turkey, and turkey.
Isn't that 3 things? How can you say my favorite thing and then list 3 things?
He's emphasizing his point. David Wesley talking about family and friends and getting together for a flight to Memphis to play the Grizzlies, because that's what they're going to have to do after having their Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow.
And it's a privilege to do that.
Absolutely. Well, the turkey would go down a little bit better if they could snap their losing streak right now. It stands at 4. And they've got a 10-point deficit to start the 4th period.
If they quit turning the ball over, they've got 14 on the night. That would be a big service. Yao Ming keeps getting stripped down low. When that happens, that means you're not leading with your elbow enough. Yao Ming plays with that lead elbow down, tucked against his side. That just invites the great defenders to come in and just slap down anybody. Nobody can compete up top with Yao Ming. Give yourself a favor down low. There's another pump fake.
Barry with the jumper. That'll help the turkey tomorrow. The 2-pointer cuts it to 8. It is where they need Yao Ming to step forward and be strong in the 4th quarter. Crunch time's been at times a difficult period for him. Eddie House.
One of the great scorers in basketball.
What?
This guy can fill it up.
Stop saying he likes to shoot and he can get hot.
This guy can fill it up.
I want you to rethink that. We could name 74 great scorers. More than that. Derek Anderson.
All I've got to say is when they took Eddie House out of the game last night, they booed Mike D'Antoni in the U.S. Airways Arena.
Ball deflected. Uchino is finding Ryan Bowen. Oh, but he blows the layup.
He's hurt. Ryan got hurt on that play.
He landed funny, apparently on his knee, it appears.
It might have been on the takeoff, Mike.
Kurt Thomas, meanwhile, knocks down that shot. Just his 2nd field goal.
They've got to stop the game and take Ryan Bowen out. They're going to call a timeout here.
He's still limping a little bit, as you can see.
In transition, Ryan Bowen will find himself surprisingly wide open. The ball comes to him. Mucci just lays it off beautifully to him. But my guess is that it was on a takeoff because he lost the ball, focusing in on the pain that was there.
John Saunders back in New York with a SportsCenter 30-30 update. An arbitrator ruled today the Eagles have the right to deactivate Terrell Owens for the remainder of the season. 4-game suspension stands, and he will not return to the team. The world champion Chicago White Sox have reached a preliminary agreement to acquire Jim Thome from the Phillies in return for center fielder Aaron Rowan and $22 million. And the Florida Marlins fire sale continued today, trading Carlos Delgado to the Mets for 2 players. Delgado hit .301 with 33 homers and 115 runs batted in last year.
All right, John. My Mets getting Carlos Delgado. All right. With Phoenix leading by 10 here in the 4th quarter. Reminder, Friday night ESPN, an NBA doubleheader. The Mavericks and the Heat from Miami at 8 Eastern. And then you can see these Suns again at 10:30 Eastern as they host the New Jersey Nets. Our coverage begins 7:30 Eastern with Kia NBA Shoot-Around. The pregame show with all the answers as Ryan Bowen stays on the floor.
The Dallas Mavericks are playing fabulous basketball. Big test for him, even though Shaq's not playing.
Yao Ming. All of a sudden, Yao Ming into the game.
I'm just happy that Ryan Bowen was able to shake that injury off during the timeout. Trainer Keith Jones all over it on the Rocket bench.
Ball deflected. 8-point game with just over 2 minutes gone by here in the 4th.
Yao Ming, nice sign here, gets the ball finally. He's had so much more success against Kurt Thomas than he had against Boris Diaw or Sean Marion. A little surprised that Mike D'Antoni has stayed with Kurt Thomas here this deep into the 4th quarter.
Once his defense on Yao Ming as Jimmy Jackson with a big 2-pointer.
14 years in the NBA, 12 different teams with Jim Jackson.
Well, he only played for 11 of them.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
New Orleans last year was traded to, never reported, was suspended. In fact, helped prompt the rule change so players can't do that anymore.
Good.
Which is a very good change. John Barry with a high floater from behind the backboard.
John Barry's in the zone. They got to use him and get him back in this game.
Eddie House figured, let me dribble through every single member of the Rockets before he was charged for an offensive foul.
John Barry, the little post feed and then moving brilliantly without the ball. This is a tough shot, way behind the backboard. Arcing it up over the top so he could clear the protruding angle of the corner backboard.
Still plenty of time left. The fourth quarter has been the problem for the Rockets. So many times this year they've been in games, often with the lead or tied down the stretch, only to not make the plays at crunch time. Now being calling for it against Kurt Thomas. Oh, great defense from Thomas. Held off Yao Ming and then makes the steal. Raja Bell. Nash for three. Steve Nash from downtown.
Every time the Rockets get a little bit of momentum going, and this has to be so nerve-wracking and frustrating for Jeff Van Gundy. They're so close, seem to be gaining control of the momentum, as elusive as that may be. And Nash with 13 points and 11 assists.
Bucci Norris looked like he got hit that time. Meanwhile, the Suns 11 for 20 from three-point range. Lead back up to 11.
Nash's left-handed just superb.
Dio got fouled first from John Barry, then Ryan Bowen. They call it on Barry. That's his third. And for the Rockets, it's just their first team foul.
Fans want a traveling violation here.
I think he traveled because of the foul.
Thank you, sir.
Bucci Norris sits, Anderson back in. Raja Bell trying to get it to Kurt Thomas. Thomas can't connect.
Steve Nash's willingness to give the ball up immediately. As selfless an MVP as I've ever seen.
You know, Yao was open on a couple of times there. They call a foul on Kurt Thomas on his post defense. That's the first team foul against the Suns and first on Thomas. But anyway, he's open there. They didn't get it to him.
At the top of the game, like I said, that if you can't get the ball to Yao Ming in this game, you're never going to get it to him. And he should be the easiest guy in the NBA to get the ball to.
Right, you watch him so closely, Bill. Is it more of that he doesn't do a good job of getting himself open, or the guards don't get a good job of getting him the ball?
Always the guard's fault.
Derek Anderson.
You've known me long enough to know that is.
But from what you've seen from Yao Ming, which is it?
It's a combination of the two, yeah. He has to be more demonstrative in terms of getting the ball, and then his guards have to become much better post feeders. Little Stevie's in trouble.
Steve Nash with the turnover. Luther Head kicks it out. Anderson wide open. And it's back to a 7-point game. This is the closest they've been in the fourth. 20 points for Anderson. He had 19 last night, so maybe he's starting to come alive.
The physical nature of the game favors the home team with the crowd surging behind them. A bigger, stronger team, older, more physically mature Houston Rockets.
That's a two. Nash now 6 of 11 from the field, 15 points and 11 assists.
But when the game comes down to just skill, then you have to give the edge to Steve Nash and then.
See, now he's open there. Luther had him.
But the defender, Steve Nash, is wisely just laying back in the lap there. Great hands. Hey, this guy, Raja Bell, what a pickup.
But the failure to get it in, and all of a sudden you turn the ball over. Nash nearly turns it over that time. Kurt Thomas just can't find the range.
And that's usually his game, Mike. I mean, you've done so many of Kurt's games over the years.
As Jeff Van Gundy calls a 20-second timeout, the team still certainly within striking distance. They tied it early in the third, and they've been within 7.
Why can't they get him the ball? Just throw it to him. The defender's right behind him. You're down. Go to your big man. Get him back going in the game.
Approaching the midway point of the fourth quarter, Rockets still in a 9-point hole.
Yao Ming trying to get the ball. When he does get it, he's been sometimes somewhat effective. But when you're in the post and you don't have a target, the number one thing you teach a receiver is to put your hands up and keep them up. Shame and embarrass the guy who has it, who won't give it up to you. When you're getting stripped down low, lead with the elbow, get the hands up, call for that ball. Don't rely on your size and strength. Rely on your skill, timing, and positioning.
Meanwhile, 7 different Rockets have more field goal attempts than he does in this game. Now, granted, he hasn't played as many minutes as he normally does. It's going to wind up he will. But they need to get him the ball more down the stretch.
A point we made in the first half, the Phoenix Suns, the best in the NBA at defending the other team's starting center.
Barry gets inside. Shot clock. He's down to 3. David Wesley has to force it up. Just gets rim.
That's a wild play. And that's out of a timeout.
Nash trying to pick and roll with Kurt Thomas. Jackson. Yao Ming tips it. Wait, Yao Ming hurt himself that time, wincing as he comes up the floor.
When Yao Ming steps out on that high screen roll with Steve Nash, he's got to turn Steve Nash back the other way.
Luther head.
Look at Nash the way he cuts the foul line right across with a quick outlet. What a beautiful player.
Yeah, another time, head comes down. Yao Ming had position, but they don't get him the ball. Raja Bell hits a 3, and just like that, the Suns back up by 12.
And games like this can be so demoralizing for the Houston Rockets. We're so promising. They finally give him the ball, but he's 18 feet from the basket. Now they make him go one-on-one.
But at least you can run the offense through him. You kind of force that shot. He's hurting right now. He is really wincing.
And they should run it, the Phoenix Suns. Kurt Thomas, not noted for getting up and down the floor, but making Yao Ming look like Yao Ming's playing in cement.
Jackson hits a 3. And it's the largest lead of the game for the Phoenix Suns. A 15-point advantage with 4:41 remaining. And the Rockets hearing some boos here at the Toyota Center.
Why is Yao Ming wincing? Kurt Thomas from the weak side comes in and pops him right there with nice use of the hip check down low, and Yao Ming holds that rib cage out. Only hope the big man will be okay.
Gonzaga beat Michigan State in triple overtime last night, in part because this young fella had 43 points. It's most ever at the Maui Invitational. They'll face UConn in the final tonight. Mike.
Hey, John, watched that game last night. If that was an NCAA tournament game, they'd say that was the greatest game ever played. Meanwhile, not the greatest game ever played, but the Suns, in terms of unselfish basketball, couldn't get much better than this, Bill.
I beg your pardon. The Phoenix Suns playing absolutely outstanding basketball because of Steve Nash, the NBA's assist leader now 2 years in a row, and it becomes contagious. Everybody gets involved, giving it up, guys taking the shots when it's wide open. Steve Nash's ability to drive right into the defense and kick it out time and time again. Even he is the recipient of beautiful ball movement once again. 36 baskets made, 32 assists as Sean Marion comes in with another very strong performance, 16 and 12 for Sean.
They have the NBA season now. They've already had a game where they had 35 assists. They lead the NBA in just under 27 per game. And your main guy, Steve Nash, as that's passing the ball, it becomes so contagious, as you said. Barry's floater won't go. And Raja Bell, who's played a strong game, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and he's also played some tough defense with 3 steals.
Like that assist to baskets made ratio is so critical. It really defines how you play, as opposed to what some teams do, is just dribble, shoot. The ball movement where you're dribbling to set somebody else up.
So right now is a foul call on Barry. That's his 4th. 4-to-1 ratio was superb for a team. You get normally coaches are happy with a 2-to-1 ratio, aren't they? It's so unlike you to settle for mediocrity.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving to you, Mike. In fact, I've got you a little present. I brought you something, Mike, that's so special. I've been carrying this with me for weeks on end, for this moment, just to share with you my love, my respect, my appreciation for all you do.
Just to show you the lack of sincerity, these were thrown out to the members of the audience by members of the Rockets staff.
No.
During one of the timeouts.
That's been in my bag.
That reminds me of the story of your kids telling us about a Christmas time. Their Christmas gifts was used to give the media guys.
Hey, we've got a game here. Come on.
Moochie Norris. Anderson for three. Derek Anderson from downtown. That makes it a 13-point game. Anderson with 23.
Well, they need a miracle right now. They've taken Yao Ming out. Tracy's not available, so they're just going to gamble and hope that something happens. But with the penetration and dish and Steve Nash now, who will bring it right out and run the clock and lick his fingers a little bit.
But you'd think that with this lead and time remaining, it'd take a little time. No, Raja Bell, quick three-pointer from the left corner.
But that's what makes being a Phoenix Sun so much fun.
Nash for three. And Swift the rebound.
And while you see the joy and happiness and the look of exaltation on the Suns' faces, you see a lot of sadness on the faces right now of the Houston Rockets, and they're going to have to get rid of that attitude if they're going to turn their season around. Now they're the worst team by the numbers in the entire Western Conference.
Moochie Norris draws the foul on Boris Diaw with a 13-point lead. And a timeout here in Houston.
John Saunders and Tim Legler with a Sirius satellite radio update. And yes, we are serious. Atlanta picking up their first win. They'll Paul Pierce at 33.
Welcome to the NBA. They're no longer chasing the Toronto Raptors, even up at one win apiece. John, they're on fire.
Al Harrington with a nice move there. He had 34. They win it 120 to 117. Mike and Bill.
John, thank you much. Meanwhile, Steve Nash, just another superb performance.
But the nuances of the game's MVP, the best player, the way he comes out in play, gets both hands licked there. Now, I'm not sure how hygienic that is. And there's a lot of sweat on that ball.
I'm not going there.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Just under 3 minutes remaining. Moochie Norris will go to the line as we send it over to Mark Jones.
Guys, you talk about Steve Nash licking his fingers while he's dribbling the ball. I spoke to a doctor while he was still playing with the Dallas Mavericks and brought to Steve's attention the unhygienic conditions that it introduces into his body and how it might cause his immune system to ultimately take a hit. He said, hey, Mark, it doesn't matter to me. It's a habit I've had since college at Santa Clara. There you go, Bill.
I played with a guy who used to be that Scott Wedman, and they have no idea that they're doing it. It's just happening so fast, and it's just part of their auto response.
Absolutely. Working fine for him. Worked pretty fine for Scott as well.
Scott, a multi-time All-Star, multi-time world champion in the NBA.
Meanwhile, shot clock down to 4. James Jones. The Rockets have enough time for one more run. 11-point game, just under 2.5 remaining. But now head looks over to the bench. They need to push the ball
and jack up some threes here and get hot. Why isn't John Barry in the game?
Shot clock down to 5.
If they get a shot clock violation here.
For a great defense from Sean Marion.
That's all they could get off a play in transition. Jeff is going to have a ball tonight.
Rockets on the verge of losing their 5th in a row.
This is a mismatch here. Miles Swift cannot guard Steve Nash.
Boris Diaw, what an all-around game for him. 17 points, 9 rebounds,
6 assists,
and 2 steals and a block shot.
And he set the tempo early because he was the one who was guarding Yao Ming when the Rockets at the early outset just could not even do anything to get into the game.
And he's got a double-double with his 10th rebound. Here's a guy that a couple of times put his name in the NBA draft and then withdrew, played professionally in France for about 5 years. And finally started with the Hawks. Got a chance to start and play big minutes for them. And now is really blossoming here in Phoenix.
So how's Joe Johnson doing?
John Marion for 3, and that puts on the finishing touches as the Suns go up by 16. Well, Muchinore's fouled. Joe Johnson, of course, the player that was traded for in the sign and trade. Joe Johnson, such an integral part last year of the Suns team that won 62 games, but felt like he was insulted by the lack of contracts offer. The Phoenix Suns wanted him back, but they didn't want to pay him big money. And Johnson let that get the best of him, wanted to go with the money. That was his business decision.
They were willing to pay him big money. They just weren't willing to pay him silly money.
And now he's with the Hawks, who did get their first win tonight.
Hey, somebody came and took that piece of corn that I was saving for you, Mike Green. What's going on here? Now it's gone. I thought it was right here on my desk.
There's nothing worse than lame comedy.
Nothing worse than theft on Thanksgiving.
So the Rockets with another rough performance without Tracy McGrady. As we mentioned, Rafer Alston out with that bruised right shin. He's missed the last 4 games. McGrady's missed 6 games. And it's a team that needs those 2 players, obviously McGrady being the special need.
My biggest concern right now for the Rockets is their mental state. Rafer Alston behind John Barry, Ryan Bowen and John Barry in the front, but this is a team that is going to have some chemistry issues. They're going to have to look themselves in the mirror first and then not point fingers around before their season just absolutely falls apart.
You know, last year they started poorly as well. They were 6-10 in November as they got to know each other. This will drop them to 3-9. So there is still plenty of time. But at the same time, there's so many solid teams that will battle for those final playoff spots that you can't go on an extended losing streak, especially the way the Rockets, as you look at the schedule there, it's a little easier than what they've gone through. Their beginning schedule has been very tough. Suns have to call a timeout to get the ball inbound there. And once they get McGrady back, obviously it'll become easier for Jeff Van Gundy. But right now, it's a tough time to be a Rocket as they're on their verge of losing their 5th in a row. The MVP of the league last year led the team to 62 wins, but they made some pretty big drastic changes, and he's starting to get more and more comfortable with his new teammates. 14 more assists for the league leader in that department.
I like the changes. I like the changes. I really like Boris Diaw. We'll get to see him on Friday night again.
Shot clock at 1. Nash, that's a 24-second violation. Of course, it doesn't matter. They don't need to win 62 games. What they want to do is advance further than they did last year when they lost in the conference finals to the Spurs.
Mike, we've been defending the Rockets all night long by saying the injury problems, Tracy McGrady not playing. We haven't made any excuses for the Phoenix Suns not having Amari Stoudemire, not having Barbosa.
Leandro Barbosa, who's averaging over 15 a game for them, a very big part of what they want to do, and they're incorporating so many new players, so it's a team that you know they're going to get better. Even if Stoudemire does not return, and they expect him to, they'll get better as the season goes on.
Do you think it might have something to do with the system that they run? And what the 5 games coming up after tonight's game, they've got 5 straight at home. Nets, of course, Jason Kidd goes back to where he played. Jermaine O'Neal playing at an MVP level once again.
But right now, they'll improve to 6-5 on the season.
And some of those losses were very close. If Sean Marion had been able to make a couple of shots in those games, they'd have a much better record.
A couple of close home losses where they lost leads down the stretch. Something they didn't do last year, but that's part of getting to know each other. Muchinore's short. Stromile Swift draws the foul with 12.1 remaining. Boris Diaw picks up his 3rd. But young players like Boris Diaw, Raja Bell, once Kurt Thomas gets acclimated to the new pace that this team plays at.
And look at the smile on Mike D'Antoni's face. And the contrast to Jeff Van Gundy, who was certainly not having any fun with this game tonight. Mike D'Antoni able to hire his brother as an assistant coach.
Yeah. Coach of the Year last year, has not changed a bit with all the success. One of the really fun guys to be around in the NBA for so many years. Played in Italy, coached in Italy, said he grew up there, and now getting a chance to show everybody in the NBA what a terrific coach he is. Head too long. And Moochie Norris with the foul.
Dan D'Antoni, Mike's older brother, a longtime high school coach in South Carolina. The D'Antoni family has just given their life to the great game of basketball, and now a real fabulous chance. They're paying Dan D'Antoni literally no salary.
Well, he was 30 years in South Carolina and retired, so he's one of the few coaches that can afford that.
But look at this. He's got his back to his brother. Sorry, Mark Ivoroni, for putting the line right through your face there.
Meanwhile, James Jones, strong game. One of 6 Suns players in double figures. The starting 5 all scored in double figures, plus Jimmy Jackson off the bench. Another terrific road win for the Phoenix Suns as they improve to 3-1 on the road. 33 assists to just 9 turnovers, led by Steve Nash. And they shoot 14 of 27 from three-point range. Meanwhile, Yao Ming only 8 points. And the Rockets dropped their 5th in a row and are now 0-6 without Tracy McGrady. Let's send it to Mark Jones.
All right, Steve, tonight, third quarter, Houston makes a run at you guys. What did Mike D'Antoni say to you guys in the huddle to get you charged back up again?
He just said we weren't playing hard enough, and that we're not a good enough team not to play hard all the time. We always get up 10 points, and then we relax a little bit and let teams back in the game. So just kind of motivated us a little bit.
Steve, how much of a breakthrough is tonight for you guys? 33 assists as a team. Is it a bit of a breakthrough for you?
Well, we played this way, at times throughout the preseason and the season. We just haven't closed games out. But tonight, we had them down and we were able to keep them down. But, we're still going to have our struggles. We're a new team. We have a new group. We're playing without our best player. So,
speaking of a new group, Boris Diaw, a big surprise, a nice find for you guys. You run a lot of your offense through him. Why?
Well, he gives us a great opportunity to have another playmaker on the floor. He's a terrific passer at his size. He's able to, cause problems for people with his ball handling and passing ability. So, he fits well with our guys. We got a lot of shooters. Now we got a couple playmakers to get on the ball.
Bill Walton and I want to know about this. Licking your fingers. Will it ever stop? Does it keep going? Does the habit continue?
My hands are dry, so I always feel like the ball's slipping out of my hands. It feels disgusting, but I'd rather make a bucket or a pass than throw it out of bounds.
All right, that's the secret to being the MVP, Bill. Guys, back to you.
Well, when you grow up in the Straits of Juan de Fuca there, you got to have dry hands.
Dry hands threw out 14 assists. For a recap of tonight's game, join us shortly on ESPN News. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bill Walton, producer Eddie Fibishoff, director Jimmy Moore, and our entire terrific ESPN crew, this is Mike Green saying so long from the Toyota Center in Houston. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Now let's go back to the studio.